This is Black Mental Health Matters. I'm Dr. Carrie Ann Williams. I'm a psychiatrist practicing in Massachusetts. This is a podcast that's about everything related to mental wellness in the Black community and beyond. Today, I want to share a mini episode with you about the 10 steps for prioritizing your mental health. For so many of us, mental health is something that is assumed. It's a default setting. So if nothing is going wrong, then your mental health is great by default. Your mental health is either good or bad. It's either or. The truth, though, is that our mental health is more like one of those sliding bars with great at one end and poor at the other end. And where we fall slides along that bar towards one end or the other. So today, I want to help you slide that bar a little bit closer to the end that says great, but coming from the angle of prioritizing your mental health. So here are your 10 steps for prioritizing your mental health in no particular order. Number 1, take an inventory of the things that drain you. What drains your energy? What drains your motivation? Is it your job? Is it the people in your life? Identify the things that take away from your mental health. That's a part of something called self-awareness. And this is a call for you to come to terms with maybe even big or important things that are draining your mental wellness, draining your mood. If your job, for example, is the thing that's draining your mental health, then maybe you need to make a game plan about what you want to do about that. Maybe it's people in your life that are draining your mood, and you need to make a game plan about what to do about those people and how to handle that. So the first step is just to take an inventory about what is taking away from your mental health so that you have that awareness and you can make a plan and problem solve around it. Number 2, embrace your emotions. Embrace yourself as multidimensional. As humans, we have a tendency to elevate our positive emotions, but feel avoidant of or guilty about having sadness, anger, and other negative emotions. Prioritizing your mental health involves making room for all aspects of your emotions: happiness, sadness, joy, grief, etc. It also involves making room for other people when they express their emotions. So embrace your emotional self. Number 3, slow down. Activity distracts us from self-reflection. Prioritizing your mental health means making room for self-reflection. What can you do this week to slow down a little bit with the amount of activity that you engage in order to make room for self-reflection? Number 4, be mindful of the effect that food has on your functioning. This goes back to self-awareness. Pay attention to how you feel after eating different kinds of food in different categories. We have a tendency as people to say, I'm going to eat whatever tastes good. However, sometimes what tastes good may lead to tiredness at a time when you need to be productive. Or maybe you like coffee, but it makes you jittery, for example. If you want to prioritize your mental health, pay attention to what you eat and the connection to how it makes you feel. Number 5, don't underestimate the effects of poor sleep or not enough sleep. Getting inadequate sleep can cause a range of immediate mental health effects, as well as some chronic mental health effects if you continue to have poor sleep in the long run. Inadequate sleep can lead to difficulty paying attention the next day, inefficiency at work, irritability and low tolerance for people, sadness and depression, feelings of fatigue, poor eating habits, problems with learning and remembering things, just to name a few. Prioritizing your mental health means prioritizing quality sleep. So this is your call to do what you need to do to work on improving your sleep quality. Number 6, consider a change in scenery. Most of us tend to have routines in our lives. We have a general schedule throughout the week of where we're going to be and what we're going to be doing. One way to refresh your mental health and bring a new perspective is to do something outside of your routine. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about going to a new restaurant because eating out could technically be a part of your routine. I'm also not talking about going far away or traveling to a different country because that's not necessarily like a sustainable recommendation for many people. In fact, the emphasis here isn't even on newness. It's more about being outside of your typical weekly routine. An example might be going to a game, baseball game, basketball game. You may do this every year, but you don't necessarily do it every week. So it's technically outside of your weekly routine, even though you've done it before. This kind of change infuses a bit of energy into your week. It can boost your mental health. So I want you to think of things that you can do that are really just a change in routine, whether or not the activity is new to you. Number 7, find times to be around other people. Now, I initially thought be around other people at least once a week. But then I decided not to make that my number 7 bulletin because I realized that making that a weekly routine might be challenging for some people. So, in the world that we live in now, it's possible to do so much remotely and to have things delivered to us. It's possible to go through weeks of just being at home or with a small group of people at work or running errands at stores, but not actually being around people. Now, extroverts don't have as much of a problem with this, but people who lean a little bit more towards introversion tend to undervalue the importance of being around people. Being around other people connects us to our community, and connectedness is really important for mental health. So for some people, it can feel safer to them to avoid connections and to avoid events, but that avoidance can promote anxiety and depression. So, like many things in life, there has to be a balance of restorative time alone to reflect and energizing time spent with other people. Number 8, prioritize your values. The most important things that you engage in should align with your values. And often when that alignment is missing, people tend to feel directionless. So what are your values? Do you have a passion? Is anything regarding what you value or feel passionate about reflected in your daily schedule? Why not? If you want to start prioritizing your mental health, you need to prioritize your values, and that passion for your values should be reflected in your daily schedule. Otherwise, your life might start feeling meaningless and your mental health might start to wane. Number 9, boundaries. Now, I can't have a podcast episode about prioritizing your mental health and not talk about boundaries. There's an art to setting boundaries. I won't talk about it much here, but it takes some finesse to learn how to structure and have control over your time without making people feel disconnected from you. Often, many people make requests for your time, but you can't attend to all of those requests. And you have to have a game plan for how to manage that. And I want to mention something important. People often don't say this when they talk about boundaries because it's a bit more achievable to say no to things that we don't want to do. The complicating factor might be that there might be issues of leadership or power that might force your hand a little bit with doing certain things. But I found that the most challenging boundary to set is a boundary that we set on ourselves. This is a scenario where there are many things that you're highly interested in doing, many opportunities that you feel you don't want to miss. And so you say yes. And suddenly your schedule is full again. It's full of the things that others are telling you to do and all the things you couldn't say no to yourself about doing. Boundaries, a key component in prioritizing your mental health. Number 10, mentorship and consultation. No man is an island. Sometimes our mental health suffers because we're so committed to the DIY philosophy. We're going to do it all ourselves. Prioritizing your mental health means using the resources that are available to you, which includes people who have been there before, or maybe in a similar situation and maybe open to sharing ideas. There's a saying that you don't know what you don't know. And mentorship and consultation helps to highlight those gaps in our knowledge. Mentorship in particular, when done well, can connect you with opportunities that you would not have had otherwise, or to connect you with people that you would not have met otherwise. So those are my 10 steps for prioritizing your mental health in no particular order. What would you add to this list? What would you recommend as a step to prioritizing your mental health? And that's it for the show today. You've been listening to Black Mental Health Matters. I'm Dr. Carrie Ann Williams. Take care and have a great week.